I think I might be able to do the Appalachian Trail if it weren't for like the spiders and snakes they talked about.
Hi, we're the Care Kids.
Our parents are crazy. They want to take us on a year-long trip.
They call it an empathy expedition.
We're traveling the states to discover what makes us united.
50 states in 52 weeks.
And I saw you, cause I wanna be like the wind. I wanna run with you. Oh, we can be wolves, howling at the great white moon. I wanna be by your side when we light up the sky for the world to see. Run, 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 run with me.
We're at the Connecticut state capitol. This street's full of cannonballs. There's one there.
Where was it?
It was on the battlefield of Chickamauga on Snodgrass Hill, where the fiercest fighting occurred. So it was on the Georgia-Tennessee border. It was a really bad Civil War battle fought there. The cannonballs hit the tree, and the tree just grew around them. I think they're from the Civil War. Well, it says on the bottom. I mean, Civil War. That one, it has a bunch of writing on the lines, and the stars are shaped as a star. I like that one.
All of the stars are shaped as one big star.
So we camped at this place that had a corn maze, like a big corn maze shaped like the tree of life.
We found a clue!
Oh my word. And so we were like, you know what, we'll give this a shot. And so we went into the corn maze, and 3 hours later, half the children are crying, and we're trying to find our way out.
It was a big corn maze, and it was funny because I didn't think it was being a big deal, but they were like really tall, and we had a map and stuff we had to use, and Adam and Millie started freaking out.
I broke down crying in the middle of the corn maze.
It took a long time, like a whole day to go through.
I'm supposed to be going up.
Are we in the green?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just went down the bridge.
There's more green that way.
No, we're supposed to go back this way.
Okay, you show us.
I know.
So wait,
I'm
we
telling you
missed
how
a
to
couple
get there.
things though.
So you're supposed to go up the green.
Oh, we need to go
Told ya.
like this.
Green should be
And then
straight.
on the bridge,
forward.
right here. I can stand up like this.
Ace around the bridge. Back, forth, back, forth, back, forth, and then we'll hit 2.
How was the rest of the maze? Did we finish it?
Nope, we didn't.
We finished the maze.
No, he didn't.
How did we get back to the RV if we didn't finish the maze?
We died.
We did finish the maze, we just didn't find it.
We didn't find every clue, we mean, but we finished it.
Had you ever been in a corn maze before?
Nope, I've never been in one.
We met up with this guy whose trail nickname was Sam I Am, because he hiked the Appalachian Trail.
Oh, that's West Virginia.
Oh, I could do that one.
So a little about myself. I hiked the Appalachian Trail. I didn't need a map. I didn't need a compass. I didn't need a GPS. I just followed a bunch of painted blazes. Why? Everybody wants to know why. Why would you go out and hike 2,000 miles? Well, for me, I just retired from the Department of Corrections in the state of Connecticut. I had a great job. I was a canine officer. I was one guy that had a 6-foot circle around me at all times, you know. It was a pretty good gig. And I also had 2 young boys. I'm a divorced parent. I had my boys half the time, so I had them. And we spent all the time, all our spare time, in the woods or on the water, fishing, camping, hunting. So basically they had a pocket knife in one pocket and barefoot as much of the time as they could. And we did a lot of that up in Maine. I have a place up in Maine, and if you open that garage door in the morning, first thing you see is Katahdin. That mountain's no joke. There's no easy trail up that mountain. But when I get to the top, and there's a bunch of people up there, and there's a wooden sign up there right on the summit. And I was pretty beat up and tired when I got there, but these people were ridiculous. They were like crying on this sign and taking pictures alone as a group, and they were just like worshiping this chunk of wood up top of this mountain. I walked up and asked them, what's the big deal? And they said, wow, we just finished our through hike of the entire Appalachian Trail. I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. Now, here's the kicker. I never hiked. Other than that mountain, I never hiked before in my life. I didn't even have a backpack. I went down to REI and I walked in and I said, hey, I got 3 weeks. I'm leaving in 3 weeks to hike the Appalachian Trail. I'm going to through hike it, and I need everything. 3 weeks later, I was heading north.
So on the Appalachian Trail or any really long trail, you always get a trail nickname.
Maybe it's easier to say, have you seen Sam I Am, than it is to see, have you seen Sam? Which Sam? Sam from Delaware, Sam from Washington, Sam from Connecticut? So I'm sure that's part of the reason. But really, if you think about it, everybody here is setting out to hike in the woods for 6 months. You can be whoever you want to be.
Meeting Sam, or in other words, Sam I Am, was fun. He hiked the Appalachian Trail. It was fun to hear what he did to like sleep and take a bath and shower and stuff.
Look at the sign, 1,000. This is a section of the trail known as the roller coaster. It's 13 miles of exactly what you pictured in your head when I said that. Up 500, down 300, up 600, down 400 for 13 miles. And it was 90 degrees, 100% humidity, thunder and lightning all day long. And then all of a sudden, it's just a miserable day. And all of a sudden you see 1,000 miles. My longest hike to this point was only 16 miles in my life. So when I hit 1,000 miles, I'll tell you what a feeling.
He'd hike and be camping in the middle of nowhere. And there's one thing he really appreciated called trail magic, where people come out with hot dogs and hamburgers and like tons and tons of food. And they sit on the edge of the trail and they feed campers that are walking by. It's so cool.
He had a backpack that he had everything in his backpack, and it was always in the exact place he wanted it. And if it wasn't there, then it was lost and he had to get a new one. It kind of reminds me of what we were doing a little bit. He would like meet a whole bunch of awesome people, and it was really cool.
And I ran into Red Hot. Now Red Hot's been planning this trip for 44 years. He used to go to Baxter State Park with his grandmother, Nanny. She always tried to get him to climb the mountain. He just kept saying, I'll do it someday, Nanny, when I finish my through hike, the Appalachian Trail. And he and I just hit it off. He hunts, he fishes, he loves to camp. He has 2 children, the same age as my kids. We had so much to talk about, we would just talk, and the miles would just blow by. So when I ran into him in Connecticut, I needed him because I was ready to bail out. So the last few miles before getting into Maine, Red Hot was a mess. He couldn't even look to the right because everything to the right was Maine. He's been planning this hike his whole life. He saw that sign, he was just crying. His eyes were just swollen, tears were up and down, and he just walked right up and put his head on the side and cried like a baby. This is the very first time I had a definitive reason for doing this hike. There she is, Mount Katahdin. Now, when I saw her here, she looked different than she did when I was looking out my garage door. I felt like I earned it this time. I felt like I had the right to climb this mountain. So we did. This is Red Hot, and he's carrying Nanny's backpack. Nanny died 13 years ago, but he still wanted to fulfill that promise he made. So he took this trek, and that bag never been to the top, and he promised her he would take it to the top of that mountain at the end of his through hike someday. And people want to know, what did you take? What did you get? What did you get from the trail? And I'll tell you what, Red Hot, to this day, my closest friend. We'll be friends for life. The biggest thing didn't even happen while I was on the trail. The biggest lesson I learned, the thing that I carry with me every moment of the day, happened after I put up my last video. And I coming out of the prison, a real jerk, you know, hating people, didn't want to do anything for anybody. And one by one, each comment on Facebook, each person said, hey, you're going back to the trail. All these things, one by one, ripping off layers like I was a dirty onion with bruises and everything. At this point, I'm down to the old Sam, the Sam I was before I started working in the prison. And one of them stopped me dead and it said, Sam, thank you so much for sharing it through your eyes. You don't understand how much I appreciated this. I was diagnosed with a brain tumor and given 11 months to live. I spent 6 months hiking the Appalachian Trail through your eyes. Now I can leave this beautiful world happy. So my lesson isn't profound. That one letter stopped me in my tracks. My world stopped. I realized you never know, you just never know how your actions are going to affect somebody else.
So if I were to give my siblings a trail name, I'd probably give Andy Apple Juice, because it's AJ, you know, that also stands for apple juice. Just for all of you to know, now you can start commenting instead of saying AJ, say apple juice. Got that? If you watch this video, you have to say apple juice from now on.
So if I was to give Asa a trail name, it would be Doodles, because he loves to doodle. Mr. Doodles.
AJ would be Daisy Girl, and
Asa Care Bear, because that's what his friends called him.
Roy would probably be String Face.
I might call Millie Glitter Bomb. She's so girly compared to me.
Then Millsy, what was it again? Oh yeah, Millie Hopkins.
And Ace, Nice Face.
My trail name would be the awesomest man alive. Look, here comes the awesomest man alive. Bum, 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 bum.
Adam Roy, I would call him Smacky Smurf.
You'd call him what?
Smacky Smurf.
Why would you call him Smacky Smurf?
Because he always whacks me.
And what would your trail nickname be?
Dragonfly.
Dragonfly.